evening, dear viewers. This is the English News Edition. Tonight's top stories are: in Arta region, the organization of the first edition of Summer Cultural Festival. In the regional news, Somalia launches network center to offer free internet for the rural institutions. Those are the top stories, and thanks for joining us in our newsroom. In the evening of Thursday, 24 August, a music festival took place in the beautiful city of Arta, organized by the Prefecture of the region. The association ADESCA, known for the organization of the cultural and musical events, has contributed to the success of the said festival that took place in the vicinity of the road station. Nearly 1,000 spectators have followed this show and have highly appreciated where many vacationers who have fled the heat wave of Djibouti city took part. Local officials, including the deputy to the prefect, Mohammed Fouzi, the president of the regional council, El Mabouh, Lieutenant Ahmed Mohammed Hilm, as well as elected members of the region of Arta, have followed the show. Among the artists who have animated this show are Abdi Saud, Asiya Osman Douali, Liban, and other young talents. In this event allowed us to appreciate the cultural diversity of the country. The organizer of this musical event thanked the deputy to the prefecture and the other responsible of Arta for their technical and logistical support. Our information is primarily focused tonight on the weather and the resulting consequences. The Khamsin continues to blow without interruption on Djibouti. These big winds persist after the heavy rain yesterday evening. Other points the Wadi flow freely. Some as the Wadi of Umbuli or that of Shketi have focused inconvenience by interrupting the circulation and sometimes material damage. It must be said that there are sometimes the happiness of some, and particularly the farmers. These precipitation will supply not only the groundwater but also for several months the microdams put in place by the Ministry of Agriculture. Indeed, these microdams are flood and operational for the months to come, which allows farmers to resume with their activities for the rest of the season. And to give you an overview of the results of these microdams, if the drilling that fed the wells in drinking water have been moved to the back country, it is because the critical threshold has been reached with regard to the reserves of the alluvial sheet of Djibouti's coast. Indeed, following the devastating effects produced by the removal of the sands as well as the excessive draining as the seawater is raised by infiltration on land, causing the abandonment of wells in this whole area. The water of the wells becomes salted. This whole area conducive to agriculture has been abandoned, a real disaster for the inhabitants of this area. A disaster which leads to another, the desertification of the soil with the proliferation of this shrub called prosopis, which colonizes all the land, destroying all the plants. And this new cycle now seems irreversible, and the situation seems without outcome, might say. But it is without rely on the genius of the Djiboutians when all skills are placing a contribution only in the interest of the nation. A philosophy that we apply on a daily basis to the Ministry of Agriculture, where the response in the face of the disaster is preparing. A committee of experts composed of engineers, in which the minister himself, agronomist training, is constituted. At the outset, emergency measures are decided. All the drilling supplying drinking water to the capital have been relocated. The levy of science in this area has also been prohibited. Beginning 2014, a forced hydrological study for the development of a dam is carried out by the director of the great work of the department. This study includes all the factors which will allow this region to cover its agricultural vocation. The watershed has been studied under all its angles, as well have been met all of the data to better know the nature of the ground. 2 sites have been selected for the construction of the 2 microdams, whose work has been as soon as launched by the committee. And 2 years after, the results are there. The alluvial sheet has been resupplied, causing a decline in the rise of the waters of the sea, which allows the population to retrieve all the arable land previously abandoned. The marshes gardens will repopulate the area. The irrigation is no longer a problem with these microdams. A huge amount of water, resembling more to the pouring of a river, is now available a large part of the year. For the sole year 2016, these deductions were functional 4 to 5 times. These basins are dry almost 3 months in the year, and during this period, the agriculture resorts now more to the old system of devastating draining, but to the drains running to the solar energy made available by the Department of Agriculture. Farmers have also been initiated to the watering system called a drip for the greatest happiness of agriculture, sir. The Committee of Experts of the Ministry of Agriculture does not stop there. It initiates a third action which consists to make dam advance of the desert. The proliferation of prosopis condemns all other plant species. It is the solution to this problem, which is the responsibility of the engineering. In fact, the Committee of Experts will target to drop the Egyptia into reintroduce in this area. The concept used is one of the most unusual of remnants from a region of Somaliland are regularly listed and released on this plain. Upon their arrival at the center of livestock, these remnants appear in the stomach seeds of the Egyptia. This livestock is regularly dropped on this plain, where it will leave its droppings and the nature will do the rest. The Avenue Nasir is also in the renovation, and the work of the rehabilitation of this road is in its final phase. For more details, let's watch this video.
One of the biggest and prestigious roads in the capital has a new look, and it is obviously the avenue that bears the name of the illustrious Egyptian and Arab leader Gamal Abdel Nasser. It was gradient for a long time. Renovation has begun recently, and the rehabilitation of this avenue by public transport will be finished soon. 600-meter-long Avenue Nasser stretched from the municipal stadium to the crossroad of Arta. The rehabilitations of this road followed the call launched by the presidents of the municipality of Bulaus to the public authorities for its rehabilitation. Today this has been done. The avenue, which served the neighbors 6 and 7 of Bulaus municipality, will be used by public transport on their way to Humbuli and on the other side straight to Mahmoud Harbi Place. This make a major roadway for traffic and public transport, hence the satisfaction of bus drivers who were complaining once about the situation of the road, fearing for their vehicle, are happy today. We were forced to bypass this avenue because of the bad situation. With the rehabilitation today, which is a good news for us and the neighbors in particular, who are many of our customers. On the other hand, those who were penalized by the lack of bus can today show their satisfaction to see this road rehabilitated. Extrait Somali. We are satisfied to the idea to see the Avenue Nasser new again. Today the authorities have responded to our appeal, which was to rehabilitate this road, and it is done. As we can see, we as the populations of this neighborhood show our gratitude to the government. The rehabilitation of this road puts an end not only to the problems of traffic, but also enhance the appearance of urban planning in this area, who see the construction of large brand new mosque at the Avenue Nasser. Now it is up to the waterfront to take care of.
In the rest of our edition, the arc of peace remains the symbol of friendship between the two people, China and Djibouti. The Chinese hospital ship, the Ark of Peace, continues its operations of medical assistance for the benefit of the populations. Many specialties on board the vessel are continuing their consultations to the benefit of the Djiboutians' disadvantaged neighborhoods. They are assisted in their consultations by doctors and agents by the Army Health Service, and several hundreds of people have benefited from these free consultations since the arrival of the ship. It offers all medical specialties in order to respond in the best way their mission and the Ark of Peace in its third tour in the Republic of Djibouti. In the framework of the fight against this smuggling under all its forms and acting on information intercepted, the gendarmes of the brigade of Sheikh Musa have followed a track allowing them to dismantle a network of smuggling of cigarettes. As well today at 6 a.m. after long investigations, the gendarmes of the brigade of Sheikh Musa, strengthened by the gendarmes of the mobile team, have launched an operation in the outskirts of Balbala, particularly in the neighborhood commonly called Tuti. During this operation, the gendarmes have discovered a significant amount of cargo consisting of 10 boxes of cigarettes and 16 boxes of cosmetic products, Dermovat. In total, 19 persons have been involved in the trafficking of smuggled goods, where they will be brought to justice to answer for their acts. In addition, the High Command of the Gendarmerie informs to the population that the gendarmes will spare no efforts day and night to deal with this traffic, which seriously affects the economy of the country. In Djibouti, the summer period is often characterized by cultural, artistic and as well sports events. It is in this sense that the Association of Young People of Rwanda, under the leadership of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, has closed this morning the tournament, which lasted for 3 months. Rwanda summer village, and appreciated by all for its climate and its geographical position, remains one of the favorite destinations of holiday makers. The final opposed the team of Gaboli to the Sura in a meeting very balanced and has led the two teams with more of expenditure. The team of Sura has finally taken revenge on its rival. After the football, we have witnessed a good part of athletics in the purpose of detecting talents. The association has aligned the young hubs of less than 15 years old. The first three of all originating from Rwanda have made spoke of their talents, but has not remained unnoticed by the detectors and organizers of this competition. After the effort, the conference were called to climb on the podium at the ceremony of trophies delivery. And moving to the regions now, in Somalia, the Deputy Prime Minister Mahdi Goulet has officially opened the Network Operations Center of the Ministry of Posts, Telecom and Technology, the first of its kind for federal institutions. Saeed Mohammed has more to tell us.
And for the Horn of Africa nations to provide free internet for federal institutions, Abdashur Hassan, Minister for Post, Telecom and Technology, who officially opened the center late on Saturday, said the service would aim the ministry reclaim its role as technology services provider for government institutions. We acknowledge that internet service we offer does not cover the needs of the federal institutions in terms of both the number of those covered and the bandwidth speeds each site is allocated for, Hassan said. Deputy Prime Minister Mahdi Goulet said the center is aimed at providing free internet service to 26 federal government agencies in different parts of the capital, Mogadishu. The telecommunication bill calls for the creations of telecoms regulatory authority developments of the country with telecommunication technology protecting corporate and consumer rights and more participation by private sectors in developing the sector. The Ministry of Education, Abdurrahman Dahir Osman, Dr. Osman Goulet, said the free internet services are helping the ministries and other institutions to improve productivity, efficiency and effectiveness.
More from the African continent, a UN expert, Mr. Baskout Tunkak, after a visit to Sierra Leone, called for better supervision of the mining and agriculture. More information in the following video.
A UN expert, Mr. Baskout Tunkit, after a visit to Sierra Leone, called for better supervision of the mining and agricultural sector and urged the country to fight more vigorously against the adverse health and environmental consequences of industrial development. In a press conference, he spoke of numerous claims of land appropriation by Socfin, a Luxembourg company that produces palm oil in Sierra Leone and whose majority shareholder is the French group Bolloré. During my visit, it also became clear that the government must pay more attention to problem of mines, craft or industrial, he said. He expressed grave concern about access to justice for individual and community to defend their rights and obtain reparation. The expert who undertook a 2-week visit during which floods killed more than 500 people and 810 missing referred to the main landfill in the capital Kisi, which pose a health risk because contaminated waste flow to the ocean, threatening the life of the communities and marine flora and fauna. Mr. Tankate also highlighted the lack of reliable data on emission of pollutant and urged the government to put in place a serious monitoring of water, air and food work, but also health situation in the country.
That's all for this edition. Thank you for staying with us. Enjoy the rest of our evening.